old joke is that the first child restraint was an MRA, which is mom's right arm.
I went through the certification course and I fell in love with it.
A month after I was certified as a technician, I was in a crash with my son.
I've heard police officers come to me that have been on for 30 years and say, this is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
The passion within this industry is amazing.
We're all trying to make the child passenger safety world safer than it is.
It's all about saving the kids.
I was heading to my sister's house. As I'm driving through an intersection, someone had ran a stop sign, hit me on my driver's door.
When I finally came home, there were several fire chiefs in my driveway, and I knew something was wrong. And one of them took me to the hospital, probably 30 miles away. It was a long ride. And when I got there, they weren't sure she was going to live. So.
Things have changed so dramatically. You go from the love bucket, which was nothing more than looked like a bucket. It goes from very basic years ago to very high tech.
I love seeing the old advertisements for the old car seats and how they were so cutting edge at the time.
We were driving somewhere, and every time we go around a corner, my little girl would kind of call out, "Whoa!" I looked back and her car seat was tipped at about this angle. And I thought, wow, we have done something really, really wrong.
And you very quickly realize that you didn't know you weren't doing it right, and then the technology changes. For me, those two things were pretty significant.
In the early days, angle is always important for newborns because they don't have a strong head, and the baby's head would pitch forward, cutting off the airway. And so we, in the field, would roll towels and put it under the front of the seat. They were hard to maneuver. You could pinch your fingers, you could never get the harness tight enough.
I looked at NHTSA data, and we had a 40 or 30% reduction, and now it's a 50% reduction in the first 3 years of life, I think, which is huge. Okay. I mean, that was enough to keep me going.
One of my first calls was, as a young EMT, was that 3-year-old who wasn't restrained, wedged between the front console. And that has a lasting effect on you, and you never forget that.
We had a baby that transferred from an infant carrier to a convertible, read the instructions, put it in, installed it, and then we were at a Safe Kids meeting, and someone said, "Hey, I'd love to check your car seat," and that's what we do. We, like, "Oh yeah, mine's right. I'll show you my car seat. I'm perfect." 45 minutes later, it took them to fix it, and it was improperly installed. 2 weeks later, someone ran a stop sign and T-boned me in my driver's side. I was unconscious immediately. I was in a drug-induced coma for several days just to keep the pressure of the bleeding in the brain controlled. I had a lot of internal injuries, crushed pelvis 9 places, broken left hip.
There were many frustrations and challenges in establishing a standardized curriculum.
During the day, we'd teach the class, and every night we'd go back to my dining room table and rewrite things. And the next day, we'd come back with a new curriculum. Day 2 was different than it was going to be because we saw what was working, what wasn't.
We've changed it over those years to meet the needs at that time. Product changes, some of the legislation changes. We learn new things about injury and injury prevention.
We took the best of everything and basically made it evidence-based.
So we started with about 16 people that were the kind of grandfathered them or grandmothered them into, the training, because they were people that, we knew had a great background, were good instructors, had stayed with the issues, and it just grew, and it grew, and it grew.
They were the trailblazers.
Very good.
Absolutely. And once you're in the child passenger safety field, you really never leave.
I have that magical moment, both as an instructor and as a technician, when people learn about the switchable retractor. As silly as it sounds, that is life-changing to folks.
The race car driver, the NASCAR driver who told me, show me one new part in a car that you know I don't know about. And I showed him latch. He was like, whoa, I've had that in my car and I never knew what those little things were.
I know for a fact that we have improved children's lives. We don't see when the seats work. Unfortunately, the thing about this field is there's thousands of times that we're going to not see when they probably really did work. Unfortunately, I think we see more of when they don't work.
The National Child Passenger Safety Technician Training Program trains technicians and helps them stay current with information so that they in turn can help parents and caregivers protect children on every ride. Local technicians are really the unsung heroes, and each year the board recognizes them through a national awards program.
The child passenger safety training is very intense. It can be physically demanding.
The unsung heroes are our techs on the ground, sweating in the sun, freezing in the snow, working in conditions that are not comfortable, and you are sweaty and gross. And that parent you're working with is sweaty and gross, and at the end, you're just hugging.
We've also, as an industry, worked very hard at trying to improve the ease of installation for caregivers. So not having to push and pull and really work up a sweat to get that car seat properly installed.
Motor vehicle crashes and injuries remain the most common cause of injury throughout childhood, and that there's still much more that we can do.
One of the things that we've seen a real improvement on is the safe travel of our older kids. We're seeing them more in booster seats.
We need to continue to educate families because every day there's a new family, there's a new parent, there's a new grandparent.
And, you know, drivers, nobody can really argue that drivers are more distracted, but if we can do anything to prevent tragedies in families to children, we're going to give it our all.
In 2002, we barely had child passenger safety laws that went above a 4-year-old, 40-pound child. Today, we have state laws that cover children up to 9 years of age. We have many states passing laws just this year requiring children to ride rear-facing through their second year of life.
It's such a heartwarming, thing to be part of that, the beginning, and those steps. And I'm still here. I'm still teaching. I'm still kicking.
We have our manufacturers, our vehicle manufacturers, child restraint manufacturers, law enforcement, health providers, other safety organizations like the National Safety Council, like Safe Kids, American Academy of Pediatrics. And those are some of our ongoing members because they're so engaged, AAA, in the whole process.
I get really excited about the future leaders in traffic safety.
But new things are coming. We're looking towards Vision Zero, which is within the next 30 years, we're going to have the first headline that comes out and says, nobody died today on our highways. What a great day that will be. Of course, I'll be 150 or something by then.
And collaboration, including the Child Passenger Safety Board working with its technicians, working together can make that happen.
It's such a beautiful thing to see people work together and have them come, to these meetings, do all this just because they're passionate and just because they care.
Congratulations to the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and thank you to the 41,000 certified child passenger safety technicians. It has been an honor for the National Safety Council to serve as a lead agency for this board for the last 20 years. There is tremendous value in having one national standardized training curriculum, and it all started with a small group of dedicated advocates whose legacy lives on today. Thank you all for everything that you do to take care of our most precious cargo.
That seat that saved that child's life, it's all worth it, every moment.
Over the last 20 years and beyond, this field has come so far. But obviously our vision is to eliminate preventable deaths completely. and I personally believe that's possible.
She was uninjured in the crash. Even the pack and play and stroller that was in the back seat came out the side window during the impact, but nothing hit her because she was rear facing and kind of shielding from that.
Thanks to all of the child passenger safety technicians. They saved my life, and I am here today because of them and because of the education that they gave my parents.
Now she's a firefighter, full duty, not volunteer. She's a paid firefighter and hazmat technician, and she's in emergency medical technician school, and she is hoping to sign up for a child passenger technician class this summer.
I had a happy ending, and other kids should be able to.